My mom has always said, when my dad came out of the closet, we stepped in. My dad came out to my mom, my older sister, and me 20 years ago when I was 12 years old. He's a former chief judge for the Idaho State Court of Appeals and had to run for re-election every few years. Idaho is one of the most conservative states in the country. I've occasionally heard it described as the deep south of the Northwest. After 10 years of struggling for equality, we've still been unable to add the words sexual orientation and gender identity to the Idaho Human Rights Act. My dad would have lost his job if he'd come out publicly, so for 2 decades, I lived in a closeted gay family. I had a lot of ups and downs in the following years. I turned to writing as I processed my parents' divorce. My dad met his partner, Jerry. We started new traditions and blended families. It wasn't always easy. Jerry had to master a disappearing act. A lot of people knew my dad because of his position. When we would be out together at the local coffee shop and someone approached saying, "Good morning, Judge," everyone tensed. Jerry instinctively took a step back, not wanting anyone to know that he was with our family. Jerry never expected to join a family with teenage daughters. On their first shopping trip, my dad turned down the feminine hygiene aisle, and Jerry stopped. "We can't buy these." To which my dad replied, "If it's on the list, we buy it." Welcome to life with teenage girls. But my favorite part was when they returned home and my dad was unpacking the bags. Jerry came and hesitantly sat down next to my sister and me. "Okay, if I'm gonna be a dad, I think I have a few things to learn. What are wings?" We don't use the word step describing anyone who's married into our family. Jerry is not, nor has he ever been, my stepdad. While we never had a conversation about how we title our family, for us, we all just understand that we are all simply family. But I was also consciously aware that I was different. Up until that point, I'd grown up in a stereotypical nuclear family. Suddenly, it was as if somebody had flipped a switch. I knew that in society's eyes, I'd gone from an us to a them. Queerspawn is an identity term for people with at least one LGBTQ parent or guardian. While it's not universally used, it's a term that was created by us and for us. It was important that our community have a word to describe our identity. And as many of us get older, it was essential that this language represent all of us, regardless of our age. When my dad came out, we experienced losses. It was a difficult time. I was just starting junior high, and I already desperately wanted to fit in. But what I found was that we were no longer welcome in our church. My own grandfather disowned me. He believed so strongly that homosexuality was a sin that he thought anyone who didn't was also going to hell. I told a friend about our family secret, the first person I trusted to tell about my dad's, and she came to school the next day and told me that we couldn't be friends anymore. Instead of acceptance, I was told that I wasn't enough. Suddenly, my worth was determined by my dad's sexuality. These experiences taught me what my family was so afraid of. Anyone and everyone could reject us at any time. Every new relationship I formed could potentially end if I told people about my dad's. When it came time to go to college, I knew I needed a different experience. I made it a point to search for schools in diverse and inclusive environments on the East Coast. I'd spent my whole life in the West, and I wanted to try somewhere new. When I graduated high school, I fled Idaho for New York. Over the next 9 years, I went to school in New York, studied abroad, lived in Europe, served in the Peace Corps in Madagascar, and in AmeriCorps in Los Angeles. Overall, I spent time in 25 countries across 5 continents. And each time I was in a new environment, I had to decide how out I could be. People don't always realize that children of LGBTQ parents also have to come out, regardless of their own sexual orientation and gender identity. But many Queerspawn grow up in and identify with queer culture. Even if one doesn't identify as LGBTQ themselves, it's common to hear Queerspawn say that they are culturally queer and erotically straight. Coming out isn't a singular event. It's something we have to do time and time again. When we go home for the holidays or talk about what we did over the weekend or how we spent our birthday or when family comes to visit, we are constantly navigating a world in which many people think our families are wrong and deciding with who, when, and how much of our family to share with that world. Moving to New York was liberating for me. It was the first time that I was open with everyone about my family. My freshman year, my dads came to visit. We spent a day in New York City and were walking through the gay district when I realized they were holding hands. They'd been together for over 6 years, and it was the first time that I had seen them show affection in public. In 2011, I decided to move back to Idaho. After all my volunteer work, I decided I needed a real job, one that would actually pay me. I was at a crossroads in life and thinking about a career change, and I missed my family. I decided that coming home would give me some perspective on where to go from there. The next few years, things changed so quickly, sometimes I still can't believe it. My dad retired from his position, marriage equality became a reality, and in January of 2015, I stood with my dads as they legally wed on their 18-year anniversary. There are an estimated 6 million Queerspawn living in the United States, but growing up, I only knew one other family like mine. And while I was grateful to know another LGBTQ family, I was also a little jealous. They had something I didn't think I ever would: the freedom to be honest. I don't mean to diminish the struggles of those in out LGBTQ families, but for those of us who are closeted, we face the unique challenge of knowing that honesty could destroy our family. My dad's retirement and marriage were a turning point for us. Finally, after 2 decades, we were all able to come out of the closet without any fear of repercussions. I was eager to find my community and a voice for sharing my story. I began to advocate for LGBTQ families by rekindling my writing. I also became involved with Family Equality Council and Collage, the only national organization run by and for Queerspawn. Last year, I volunteered at Family Week, the largest annual LGBTQ celebration in the world. It was my first event with Collage, and I met many of my online friends in person. Everyone was aware that I was new, but instead of that being something that made me stand out, most took it as a sign that they should invite me in. After so many years without knowing others like me, I felt home. I enjoyed working with high schoolers, and I was grateful to give back to younger Queerspawn. But I was also reminded that we're never too old to find our community. Today, my understanding of family is different. I still describe mine as a family of 5 with 2 dads and 1 mom. But now that we've come out, I found I have a larger Queerspawn family too. I hope one day all families can do even the small things, like standing together in line to order coffee. I hope one day we live in a world where we can all be honest, with ourselves, with our loved ones, and live life authentically. Thank you.